identify the ills of society, and articulate appropriate responses. This legislature is not doing that. So why should we be stuck with them?
Okay.
We
Thank you
need
so
to
much,
go back
Mr.
on the
Yomi
table.
Ogunlola. It's a very, very sad narrative, and I wish we could argue it, but there are facts that are there, and it's unfortunate that we don't have them to explain. Probably one of the things they might want to remind you as part of the things they've done right is their attempt to stop the president from having a third term. You remember that episode?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time, and we wish you a happy Independence Day. Thank you for doing justice
Well,
to this discourse.
thank you very much. I am not going to say happy independence. I am only going to say happy independence.
Wow, wow.
Thank you
I
very
choose
much,
not to
sir.
use your language.
I am indifferent.
Yeah, he has actually mentioned it. Thank you so much, sir. He has
It's a
really raised
pleasure.
a lot of issues, but I wish we could talk more on it. We'll have to take a break now.
I am looking forward to coming to your station in person.
We can't
We
wait.
can't
We
wait
can't
to
wait
have
to
you.
have
All
you.
this network wahala, you can see that's part of the problem we're having in this country.
True.
Yeah, we'll
Like
talk.
everything that all these communication companies are taking away from Nigeria. From Lagos to Ibadan, we cannot communicate with ourselves.
You're about to start
Unfortunate.
another discussion. Thank you so much.
Stay safe
Okay.
out there.
So
It's a pleasure.
we will quickly take a break, and that break will lead us to our next line of discussion, and that is the third arm of government, and that's the judiciary. Take a listen to this report done by Ifeoluwa Oshuke.
Coup d'etat of 1966 led by Aguiyi Ironsi went on till 1979, with forceful takeover from Aguiyi Ironsi to Yakubu Gowon that same year, to Murtala Mohammed in 1975, to Olusegun Obasanjo in 1976, who decided to hand over to democratically elected president in 1979. Under the military administration, a military decree was used as opposed to the current civilian constitution. This style of governance allows for immediate, unchallenged promulgation of law by a group of single person mostly used by military leaders, dictators, or absolute monarchs. This allows a military leader to arbitrarily edit law, 36 states. For the residents and indigenes of these states, the mention of military dictators in power when the states were created is like music to their ears.
We wouldn't have had the states we have because it's easy to enact a decree than to amend a constitution that will incorporate issue of state creation. You have to involve the entire federation. And as long as we have the North and South dichotomy, it will be very difficult for you to create any state, without giving the North, who has had undue advantage as a result of decrees that was used to create all the states before now. Under military regime, the president can just wake up, go to his military council, or even if you prefer not to, enact any decree. But to enact a law under democracy, it takes time, especially with our democracy we are practicing. It's a rigid constitution. So for you to amend the constitution, you have to have two-thirds of the entire federation.
On the other hand, constitutional democracy in itself indicates a form of government where all the state's decisions are exercised directly or indirectly by a majority of its citizenry through a fair elective process. A constitution is usually codified in a written document, expressly stating the fundamental rules and principles that governs an administration. Nigeria's civil rule has been characterized by election, relative freedom of press, freedom of speech, human rights observance, and other democratic practices. Ironically, since return to democracy 21 years ago, the country has been governed by former military rulers for 14 years, 8 years of Olusegun Obasanjo, and 6 years of Muhammadu Buhari, still counting. This, political pundits say, are responsible for some vestiges of authoritarianism still being experienced sometimes. The regular disobedience to court orders, the deliberate caging of the judiciary, not being allowed to exercise its independence are part of the criticism against the supposed constitutional democracy.
To the extent that we have a constitution, an extant constitution, the 19 rules that are enacted not only in the Constitution and in the statute.
In Nigeria today, we operate under a democratic government. A constitution is used, and the federal government of Nigeria is composed of 3 distinct branches: legislative, executive, and judiciary. These respondents say their powers are vested in the constitution. They argue that if indeed it is true that the judiciary is the last hope of the masses,
Nigeria